Empty, Alone, and Afraid, an original short story by Abigail Lambert.
It was 9 o'clock at night. Bright red words flashed across the television screen, covering up the noisy sounds of Call of Duty the two boys had been playing. "What the heck? I was just about to reach level 7, yelled Michael angrily. Drew really didn't care. He was more worried about what had been so urgent on the screen. "Michael, be quiet. I'm trying to listen," Drew shouted back at Michael. Michael gently put down the game controller next to the empty soda bottles and half-eaten pizza boxes. He began to listen to the emergency alert.
Alert! A patient from John Hiker Mental Institution has recently escaped. The man's name is Vincent Hollenshoe. He was put into the mental hospital after he was declared clinically insane following his son's kidnapping. Hollenshoe has exhibited violent tendencies in the past. He is currently on the run, headed to the Upper East Side of South Broderick. Again, please be aware that this man is violent. Just this evening, he has shot a police officer with the officer's own gun. He is currently armed and purportedly plotting to find the person who kidnapped his son a year ago. Exercise extreme caution.
"Hey Drew, do you want to go to that haunted house in South Broderick tonight? I heard it's supposed to be the scariest house in the town," Michael taunted in the wake of the broadcast. But Drew was not fond of haunted houses nor horror movies. He was the kind of teenager who would rather stay home and play video games and watch TV. That was doubly so upon hearing of this escaped madman. "No thanks, I'm not really in the mood to go to a haunted house tonight," replied Drew. "Why? Are you really afraid of that crazy guy on the TV?" "It's probably just fake," suggested Michael. "It's not that, I'm just really not up for it tonight, that's all. But whatever, I'll go." Drew said yes, even though he really did not want to go. The boys put on their coats and walked to the haunted house. When they got to the haunted house, they tried entering, but a man stopped them.
"Sorry, boys. We are closed until that escaped patient gets held in custody. It is far too risky for us to be running something like this at a time like this."
So the boys decided to walk back to Michael's house. The night was cold and starless. Michael and Drew were walking through the silent woods to get to Michael's house. The walk was unbearably long. It was over a mile through the woods to reach Michael's house. The two boys had not said a word since the haunted house closing due to the emergency alert, which had already put Drew on edge. But walking through a forest full of darkness at 11 o'clock at night only increased his level of anxiety. The silence went on for a few more moments until the rapid rustling of the bushes caught their attention. "Come on, Drew, it's just the wind," said Michael sharply. The boys kept walking. Drew was getting anxious. Michael thought Drew was being absolutely ludicrous. Michael did not understand how Drew was feeling, for he had never felt fear before. "How much longer until we get to your house?" asked Drew. "Gosh, Drew, man up! There's nobody within a mile of these woods, plus who would be out in the woods this late at night besides us?" Drew finally calmed down. The boys walked in dead silence. As they trudged deeper into the woods, Michael started hearing a random sequence of laughter. Michael thought he was being delusional, but when he looked at Drew to see if he heard the noises too, Drew denied it. He did not want Michael to know he was scared. The laughing got louder and louder to the point where Drew and Michael had to acknowledge it. "Michael, what is that?" Drew asked. "I think someone's in the bushes. We just have to get out of this side of the woods. Come on, my house is just only beyond the creek. Just ignore it all," Michael whispered. The boys continued walking, which only made the laughter grow louder, until they realized that the laughing turned into shouting.
Come out, wherever you are. I know you're there, Teddy. I know you're there,"
said the mysterious voice. The boys were both now frantically walking faster and faster until they realized they had started to run. The shouting followed them, north, south, east, west. Whatever direction they went, the shouts only grew louder. Finally, The suspenseful waiting was abolished. A man lurched out of the bushes with a deranged, crazy look in his eyes and a gun in his hand. Drew froze. He was petrified, unable to move, frightened.
Teddy, I've been waiting for you for so long,
said the deranged man, whose clothing was tattered and dirty, and his hair looked as tortured and demented as his soul. But what really struck the boys was that the man continued to call Michael Teddy. What they could not know was that the man's son kidnapped a year ago was named Teddy. The man lost his handle on reality waiting for his son to come home, a return that never happened. He was so crazed that he clearly thought Michael was his son, and seemed to also think that Drew was the one who had kidnapped him. Michael started running away. In his haste to get away, Michael didn't realize Drew hadn't made a break for it too. He thought Drew was following behind him, but when he heard a single gunshot go off, he looked behind him to see his dear friend lying on the ground, wide-eyed, mouth gaping, faced with the same look of trepidation he had had before. Drew did not move. Michael looked around, vomit rising in his throat. He could not see the man anywhere. The murderous being had disappeared far into the darkness where he was once before. Michael had just witnessed the murder of his best friend. Here, on this evening, out of one of the movies he and Drew had watched long after they were supposed to be in bed, he began to shake, the numbness giving way to something resembling feeling. He felt empty, alone, and for once in his life, truly afraid.
Thank you for listening to Empty, Alone, and Afraid by Abigail Lambert. Abigail Lambert is a student, a singer, a dancer, a Gemini, and an all-around artiste. She's lived in Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and currently lives in the wilds of Northwest Massachusetts. When high school isn't keeping her busy, Miss Lambert enjoys passing her time in the company of Netflix and spending time with her family and friends. This is the first publication of any sort of a short story of Miss Lambert's, and I think we can all agree that she did a great job here. The first backing track, the maniacal laughter, and the gunshot all come from freesound.org. The track was created by Drakenson and is being used under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial 3.0 Unported license. The laughter was created by Jason the Demon and the gunshot by Shawnee Boy. Both of these sounds are being used under CC 1.0 Universal Public Domain licenses. The second backing track from this piece is Death Valley from Shadows on the Snow's album Electric Sounds Vacation, and it was taken from the Free Music Archive. It is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International license. Thank you to all the artists for making this wonderful work available. Please do stick around for our next story, another suspenseful one full of interesting ideas, narrated by Abigail Lambert and written by Catherine Harkins.